Jonathan Bingham is in his second year with us as composer in residence. He originally had wanted to write a symphony, and the really cool thing about Jonathan, getting to know him, is that he is a purely musical composer, so he's not really a programmatic composer. He doesn't necessarily need to take themes or stories or the outdoors or kind of extra musical associations to create his music. It's purely in the psycho-emotional world of the music. In this case, his 3-movement symphony was originally going to be number 1, music, number 2, love, number 3, light. And it turns out that he only wrote 2 of those movements, and the movements he wrote are the musical aspect and then the love aspect. And then the light would have probably been some kind of apotheosis, following what came before it. And luckily we have some of that in the mysticism and the spirituality of the Holst planets. I think both of these pieces effectively represent something that many artists and composers really started to explore after 1850, after 1900 even. The spiritual side of music and how music can soothe a soul at the deepest levels. Holst was not your average Englishman. He was also very well traveled, and so he was able to really assimilate Germanic and other early English elements to create the planets, which really wasn't created in a vacuum. It was also right at the beginning of World War I. And Holst really wanted to represent the epic destruction and dangers of a world going to war. For orchestra musicians, for conductors, for audience, this is one of the greatest masterworks ever written. It was novel for its time. Holst had just heard Arnold Schoenberg's 5 Pieces for Orchestra. He was really on a Stravinsky high at the time. So Holst was able to use a lot of these chromatic elements to create a piece of music which actually was not based on the physical planets as we can see them, but was more based on the horoscopes, the qualities of, like, Mars being the god of war. To balance out the war, he called Venus the messenger of peace. There's these conflicting war and peace elements. There's a timelessness about a soul. There's an old age that comes with it. There's a playfulness of jollity of which he plays in Jupiter. There's magical, mystical element that comes into it, and of course there's the spiritual element that Holst finally finishes the piece with. Overall, the music is lighting the way to many film composers that came later. Many classical composers wouldn't have been able to write what they did had it not been for the planets. And it's such a wonderful masterwork, and we're really looking forward to performing it.